Hello and welcome to Caffeine Entertainment. I'm your host, Mental9R, and this is another episode of Backlogs and Replays. In today's show, we'll be talking about the Callisto Protocol, the 2022 release, and getting some thoughts and feedback from my buddy Finn. I'm a little nervous about this one because he messaged me just a few days in saying, I'm done with Callisto Protocol. So Finn, tell us, does that mean you binge played it and completed the whole thing, or did you just quit?
Well, so as soon as even like last week when we were talking about it, and you mentioned Callisto Protocol, and in the same breath you mentioned what was it, Dead Space. I was like, yeah, I played Dead Space before, not my type of thing. I know it's your type of thing, not my type of thing. So I turn on Callisto Protocol and I was like, okay, I can see why Mike likes this. This is Mike's type of game, not my type of game. Graphically very impressive. Not at all original. I didn't see anything that hadn't been done before, pretty much, in the game.
So how many minutes did you play it?
I'm
asking in minutes because it sounds like you barely made it past the initial cutscenes.
We're getting to it. Like, I'm reluctant to say this next comment because I'll get a nickname of Map Man because I just keep on going about maps all the time. The complete lack of maps I found quite irritating. That maybe it's kind of linear. I get it, right? But
very.
There are places where everything looks a bit the same, and you can go in one door, and if you're collecting stuff, which you and I both tend to do, you can look around a bit and then you go, oh, did I go in that door or that door? And you go back in and you can't remember how to get back. So the lack of maps I found a bit irritating, and the combat felt clunky as well. Like I just wasn't a fan of it as I started off, like with the whole dodge and swing and stuff, and then there was like way too much asset management as well for me. Like you didn't have enough space. Each 10 bullets would take up another item in your inventory, and it just felt like, oh man, I'm just constantly dropping things because I just don't have enough space in my inventory. And then I started to like it somehow. And then I started to get into it, and I really liked the voice actor, the guy who did the main guy. I thought he was actually really, really good, and I started getting pulled into the story a little bit. And as I got some of the weapons and stuff, I started getting more and more compelled to I want to upgrade this, etc. The combat I played in the middle level, whatever that was. I think medium security. I think it was minimal, medium, and maximum security. And I started playing on medium security. And I found the combat fairly challenging, especially some of the boss battles. And I actually found some of the boss battles almost impossible until such time as well, first of all, I downgraded to minimum security. And then you start figuring out a strategy. Like, okay, you just need to run, shoot, then, rinse and repeat. And once you figure out a strategy, even the hardest boss battles weren't that bad, but it was fairly challenging, and I finished it. I really liked the game.
Wow.
I ended up really liking the game. And
wow. High five.
Virtual high five. Yeah. And I even actually played it more than halfway through the game again because I hadn't completed my weapons upgrades, and I said, I'd like to get the assault rifle. You get that fairly near the end. I wanted to spruce that up a little bit, whereas I've been focusing on my hand cannon and my whatever you call the police truncheon or riot bat or whatever they call it, the riot thing. So I've been baton, So I've been focusing on that, and I hadn't managed to upgrade my other weapons. So I'm probably done with it now a bit. I must admit, after going halfway through, I upgraded most of the weapons most of the way. All the comments I said at the start are still true. I don't think it was original. It's fairly generic, etc. But like other games you and I have spoken about before, it was fun. It was just fun.
Wow, I'm shocked. To be honest, I was expecting minutes. You played through the cutscene at the start and walked around a bit, and that was it. But wow, I'm actually really surprised. There is a expansion for it.
Yeah.
Another thing is Final Transmission. So, well, I mean, I had played it before. So for me, it was the first time playing on PlayStation. So the one thing that I really appreciated on the PlayStation was the haptics.
Hmm.
It gave it a different feel than the, intrusive rumble, I'll call it, on an Xbox. And then, of course, just playing with mouse and keyboard, you don't have any of that.
Hmm.
I will say that playing with the controller, I had to set the sensitivity to maximum because I found it infuriating with the boss battles. Like if I was, you get those explodey, crawly guys that run down around on the crawl up to you on the floor and
Yeah.
then blow up. I'd pick them up with my glove thing and I'd throw them at the boss. But you turn so painfully slow with a controller
Oh yeah.
when you've got something picked up that you want to toss. I had to play with it on 10. That was one thing that I usually never do with a controller.
I should mention
But
as well, I guess, that I did play on the Xbox, as being on Game
yeah,
Pass. So.
yeah. And then, I was like probably 3/4 of the way through, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm almost done the game. Let me check on that expansion on PlayStation. And it was $7. So I picked up the expansion on the PlayStation, and I played through that too, Final Transmission. So you'd probably enjoy that. The Final
I
Transmission.
think,
It's not super long.
yeah.
It's a few hours.
I
But
think I would as well, but it wasn't. It was more expensive. I think it was like $20 or $17 or something. I
okay,
think it was like a 10% off on Xbox, and I said, yeah,
right.
I'm probably done with it for the
Wait for it to
moment.
go on sale.
But yeah, when it's half price or something, I'll probably pick it up because I actually
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. As I say, those things are still true. You know me, like I like indie
yeah,
games. I like a little bit of originality. This didn't have any of that, but it was fun.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
just fun, and I
That's
actually
me. Yeah,
the combat that I found annoying at the start because you really didn't have weapons and you were like, I'm spending way too much time swerving to avoid people. After a while, I
yeah,
was like, it's just kind of fun. Like, it's a little
yeah,
bit different. Like you're going to the left and going to the right and then whacking them
yeah,
down the middle. Like I was like, yeah, that's kind of
yeah.
fun actually. So, and
Yeah,
then,
then
as I
pulling the
say,
gun out, following up with a quick shot with the gun and stuff. Like, yeah,
so
I mean,
I mean, like,
basic but
yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah, like, and I like originality in games. I do. But just because it is a bit more of a generic game, doesn't mean it's a bad game. And I
Yeah,
looked at some of the reviews a little bit afterwards because I know you mentioned it didn't get well received, and I get it. I get some of the criticism, but like we've said in other podcasts as well, you can't take your eye off the ball when it's like, is it fun to play? And I found
yeah,
Callisto Protocol fun to play, and
yeah,
graphically, I thought it was actually really, really good, like really,
yeah.
really good. Um,
Impressive.
yeah,
Let me ask you, did you play on quality or performance?
I played it on performance.
You did play it on performance.
Yeah.
Did you notice any points where it got a bit chunky? Like it
No,
started to like hammer a bit on the frame rate?
no,
Okay, because I
I
ran
found it.
into that.
Yeah, I found it pretty consistently performing all the way through. I'm trying to
Okay.
think if there's any. And the other thing as well that you and I both spoke about, and the reasons I guess I came back for a little bit extra to upgrade my weapons, I actually thought it was a decent length game as well. Like it was,
Yeah,
I think it was like probably 10, 11 hours maybe I put into it
yeah,
in order to get to the end or complete it. And I was like, yeah, that's actually felt satisfying. That felt like a good amount of game
exactly.
to me,
Yeah,
as I say, the expansion pack, obviously, it's wide open for the expansion pack given the ending of the game. It very much leaves you on a kind of a cliffhanger, but there's a way out.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually, as I say, I really appreciated. I don't know who did the voice acting. I did look him up. I thought he sounded a bit like Kiefer Sutherland for some reason.
It's Josh Duhamel or something,
I
or
can't
I
remember. I
think
looked him up, but I don't recall. But he
I don't
sounded
know.
a bit to me a little bit like Kiefer Sutherland. So I was like, "Is it Kiefer Sutherland doing a bit of a voice?" But no, it wasn't. But yeah, he actually looks extremely like the guy he's playing.
Yeah,
Uh, I
yeah.
just found it,
Great
like
likeness.
it felt like watching, like when you turn on a movie. Like I watched The Equalizer 3 a couple of weekends ago, with Denzel Washington. okay, you know your life is not going to be changed by the end of this movie, but it was like it was good ride, you know. So and
Yep.
I felt the same about this game.
And that's exactly my sentiment on it. Is just yeah, I mean, kind of basic on many fronts. The inventory stuff, a little bit frustrating at the start. I can relate to that. And you know how I got around it? I basically stuck to 2 weapons until you get the new suit and you get the extra storage capacity. That's when I added some extra weapons to my repertoire. I focused on upgrading the glove and upgrading the baton and the regular pistol at the start, and went from there. But generally speaking, it's pretty satisfying. Like, you know, there's that, you're on the tram or whatever it was called, or the rock. You're going through the tunnel basically.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's the rock stuff flying. Man, I dispatched probably 90% of those guys right up to the boss, was just throwing them off the side with the glove.
Yeah.
Right, like that was, there's something satisfying about that, or tossing them into the fan and seeing them explode into chunks and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was my strategy for a lot of it, was picking things up and just throwing it.
I actually
It
found
was a
that
lot of
part
fun.
quite difficult. I had focused more on the gun, I think, and the baton at that point. Not so
Okay.
much. And as well, was really desperate to upgrade my weapons, so I was not. I knew you could toss people off the side, but I was always eager to pick up what they were dropping so I could sell it
Right.
afterwards.
Okay.
And I went through that a few times trying to fight them, and I got killed a couple of times, and I was like getting kind of annoyed. And then the last time, I had fought through all those baddies, and I had like 1 bar of 2 bars of health left or something. And then the freaking 2 head guy comes on. I was like, oh, Jesus. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then when I got killed by him straight away, I was like,
Yeah.
are they going to send me back to the start again? And they didn't, thankfully.
Thankfully, yeah. There's that cutscene.
I was like, oh man, don't do this to me. It took me so long to get here. And then I had to try like 3 or 4 times with 2 bars of health to beat that guy. So that was quite tough. Yeah, and I didn't have any options. I'd used up my my health injector, fighting the other dude. So I was out of options. But yeah, eventually I did get through it. But yeah, I just found it fun. Now, as I say, it's not not a stunningly original game and by any manner of means, but just good fun.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Dude, I was coming in fully expecting that you didn't like it. So yeah, I'm super pumped to hear that you liked it. You know, finally I picked one that you liked and you finished. So that was great. Yeah, so for next week, or for the next game, we didn't talk about that.
No, we didn't.
Are you
Actually,
up to Dead Space?
you know what? Like, you twisted my arm. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so Dead Space it is. That's cool. I'm looking forward to doing that as well. And it's another one I do have on PlayStation. And so more haptics for me, and you'll be the Xbox guy, and we can compare notes after. But I have high hopes that the remaster will grab your attention a little more. Graphically, it's very impressive too. And gameplay is very similar. So I hope you like it. I hope you like it. And I'm looking forward to playing through it again as well. So, right on. So I think that's it. Nice, short, sweet episode.
We didn't give it a rating.
Oh, that's true. That's true. No, good catch.
I probably would give it, again, I'm trying to balance it, like, and I'm comparing it to like Jedi that we played.
It's a different kind of game.
Yeah, it's a different type of game, and it's hard to compare. But I always, in the back of my mind, I kind of go, well, I have to be fair, because if this game is a 9 and this game wasn't as good as it, then it should be less than a 9. So I think overall, I'd give it like a 75, 7.5, around that area. I just say, you know, again, not terribly earth-shattering, but just done well. And it's one of these things where I find, like, I don't quite understand the hate that some games get, and this game seemed to get a bit of hate. Maybe it was oversold. That does happen. But yeah, I thought it was good fun, and 7.5, 75% would be about my.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, for me, survival horror kind of genre. You know, I don't put it in the same category as a Jedi, you know, Survivor or Jedi Fallen Order type game. So for its genre, I would probably lean towards like an 80. out of 100, like an 8, somewhere in that range. Actually, the one thing that playing with the glove, man, that felt like the Force. You can pull them in and throw them away. It was kind of fun.
I started using
Yeah.
that a lot more towards the end after I'd upgraded my hand cannon, and after I
Okay.
realized as well that I could pick people up and throw them on spikes.
Right.
That made me
That's
that I started doing that a lot more then, and then when I started
that
picking up
was
people and
fun.
throwing them at each other, as you alluded to as well, that
Yeah.
started being
Yeah.
more fun. So yeah, like it was a good game, and I wouldn't object to an 80% or 8 out of 10 as well. I'm a bit there or thereabouts, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Right on. And the one thing I did like doing, the guys that spit those balls of acid at you or whatever the heck it was, I loved using the glove to just grab them, pull them in nice and close, and just beat the tar out of them with the baton.
Yeah,
So that was fun.
I was known to do that a little bit as well. Like, and as you say,
Yeah.
pulling them in, whacking them with your baton, and then shooting them in the head. It's like a nice
Yeah.
combo.
Yeah. Yeah. If I didn't, sometimes I take pot shots at their head at a distance to try and take that acid throw thing out of the equation. But depending where my charge was on my glove. But
I would have liked
anyway,
more maps, though. I would have liked more maps.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's pretty linear, but
Yeah,
cool. I'm looking forward to Dead Space. Finn, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? I know how much you love doing that.
yeah. Well, you can see on the
Put it out there.
on my little legend there, it's Fintintin with one instead of the first I, and then Fintintin, no ones on Xbox, Steam, and PlayStation.
Right on. And I'm at Mental9R on X. I'm Mental9R on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, and just about anywhere else you can play games. And the only place I'm not Mental9R is at Caffeine Entertainment, and you are here. Thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciated. If you watched the video this long, it doesn't hurt to hit that like and subscribe button, or follow if you're on Rumble. Greatly appreciated. I'm Mental9R. He's Fin Tin Tin. This is Caffeine Entertainment. Don't forget, it's time to wake up and play some games.